Keith just built me these two trellises on these 4x4 beds. They currently have onions in them, and I have plenty of onions, but I actually need to come in here and start pulling some of these, even though they're a little bit on the small side. But I need to actually transition this bed. That's not that bad. But on the corners here, I actually want to pull a couple of these and open this up so that I can start putting in a couple of, so I can pop in here a couple of butternut squashes in these corners. Let me show you what it looks like. What I've already done back here in these corners. A butternut squash there, butternut squash there, spaghetti squash, and a spaghetti squash. So what I really need to do is start transitioning the front side of this garden with the squashes like I did on the back side. I know these onions aren't going to be in here too much longer, but for right now I will leave them. And as you can see, I'm starting to pull out the onions. Yep, they're a little bit small, but that's okay, I can use them. But I need to clean up these corners so I can have the squashes planted here, and then they will trellis up around on the outside of the bed. I don't know if you can see that, but with the deer netting. So, let me start cleaning those up. So just so I can see what I'm working with here, I'm snapping off some of these onion leaves down at the bottom, just so I can see what's going on. No, typically I wouldn't be cutting these, but I think I'll pull this one. But I want a really good space to go ahead and work here. There we go, that starts to open this corner up a little bit. I am really not worried about pulling out the onions early because I did plant over 600 onions. So if some of these are a little bit small right now, perfectly fine with that. Alright, I have my corner all prepped here. I got a nice hole. I am actually going to throw in my usual, a little bit of coop poop. Mix that down in, and because this soil is a little bit dry, I'm adding in some compost to the mix just to give some more nutrients. Kind of mix that in. This is my spaghetti squash. He already has some of these tendrils that are starting to pop up. So I'm going to train him to go over the back side of this and kind of follow up with the netting that's here. So let's see if I can get this. Let me add a little more. And water him in. He definitely needs some water. Now that I got this spaghetti squash done, I need to finish up the front here and add another spaghetti squash here, and then 2 butternuts on the front end over there. So last year we did vertical trellising for our butternut squash and our spaghetti squash, but we didn't do them here in these 4x4 beds. We actually did them over here where the sugar snap peas are currently growing. If I zoom out, you can see the arbors that are going on here. I didn't want to plant the squash in here again this year. So instead, what I'm actually doing is I'm going to trellis up a cherry tomato. So on the corners of each one of these has a different cherry tomato. So what I think I did with these is, I believe that's a Honey Delight cherry tomato. This one is my Sweetie cherry tomato. This one right here is my Gardener's Delight cherry tomato. I have one more over here. This one is, we're calling it a fence tomato. This is a tomato that kind of volunteered in our garden, grew on the fence, and it's this beautiful pink cherry tomato. So I'm hoping, because we saved the seeds, we get the same tomato again. So we'll see what happens with this tomato. The next big thing that I do is I clean up around the garden. All of this has to be cleaned up and organized. I have my pile of compost. I'll pick these up. And they go to compost today. So in the back part of the garden here, this is the corn. Keith went ahead and did 5 rows of corn. So he went ahead and did a zigzag pattern of a double row with the drip line right through the middle. And we have the first 2 rows here is Country Gentleman, and the back 3 rows here are Golden Bantam. We did have a little bit of extra corn, so let me show you where we put those. So we decided to pop the corn in way back here. I have some Golden Bantam corn across the back here, and then over here is some Country Gentleman. I also went ahead and in this front row where the drip line is, I added a little bit of light red kidney beans. They have not sprouted yet. And in the front of this bed, I put in some Blue Lake bush beans. Again, these have not sprouted. I just popped these in. There we go, guys. I am so excited. I now have my spaghetti squash all planted and my butternut squash all planted. And pretty soon these onions are going to be pulled out, possibly in the next month or so. So if you have any suggestions on what can go in these 4x4 beds along with the butternut squash and the spaghetti squash, leave them down below with the comments, because I haven't decided yet what I want to put in here. I am taking the onions and letting them lie out here to dry. Some of them are kind of small, but I got a couple of good sized ones here. That's not too bad. Hey guys, I am so excited. I got that spaghetti squash and the butternut squash in. I just want to say thanks so much for watching. We'll catch you on the next video.